Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your Thursday with us. We're going to begin this morning at the White House, where President Trump is attempting to downplay concerns over the economy in the wake of yesterday's weakening gross domestic product number.
The U.S. economy shrank by 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025. That's the first quarter of negative growth we've seen since 2022. Now, experts say it was largely driven by an unexpected surge in imports as consumers and businesses raced to get ahead of the president's tariffs. But Mr. Trump is trying to pin the blame on his predecessor, former President Joe Biden. Speaking to business leaders yesterday, the president said more time was needed to turn things around.
In the first quarter GDP numbers just out today, core GDP, now we're removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3%. But this is Biden's economy because we took over on January 20th. And I think you have to get us a little bit of time to get moving. But this is the Biden economy.
We're joined now by NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell and Investopedia's editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Good morning to both of you. Kelly, let's start with you here. Yesterday, we saw the president double down on his trade tariffs, distancing himself from both the fall in the GDP, the stock market volatility we've seen for several weeks now. Tell us a little more about what he said and just how the White House is trying to explain all this.
Well, those examples you gave, Joe, about the GDP numbers, which were kind of a jolt to the economic system, as well as the other consequences of the tariffs, are exactly what the president is trying to distance himself from, even though that is his own policy, one that he campaigned on, and one that he has put in place with a great deal of uncertainty at times and maybe more aggressive than what the public might have expected. He certainly talked about tariffs. He's done it in a very big way. The president has also found times where he is more than willing to take credit for some of the benefits in the economy, whether it's the stock market or different jobs reports or things like that. We've seen that over time. But at the moment, he wants a little more space, and he certainly wants to put some of the blame on his predecessor, Joe Biden, even though he has been out of office now for more than 100 days. The president talked about this and addressed it at a cabinet meeting where he was pressed to try to explain the consequences of his policies and how it's impacting the real world.
I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherited. This was a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden, and you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden.
So forecasting that not only the moment we're in now, but for another 3 months, it would be Joe Biden's responsibility. That will be something that voters and citizens will have to sort of assess if they believe that or not. Polling has already shown that there's some pushback from the public about the president's handling of the economy.
Caleb, let's bring you in here and just give us a fact check, for starters, on President Trump's claim that this was due to the previous administration. Tell us if there's any truth to that and then what factors are at play.
Well, numbers don't lie. And we ended last year, the fourth quarter, with growth of 2.4%, and now we're negative 0.3%. So you just got to look at the numbers. When you look at GDP, we're talking about the total monetary value of all the finished goods and services produced inside of a country, plus government investment, plus imports, which you mentioned. Companies were importing a lot ahead of tariffs. So that's where you have a lot of that imbalance. But also we had a slowdown in spending by both businesses and consumers because they feared higher prices or they saw them at the store. I can't see how you blame that on the former president, but I'm sure he's somewhere feeling terrible about this. The fact is, numbers fell in this quarter because of the tariffs and the uncertainty.
Kelly, yesterday we did see a bipartisan effort to try and block Trump's tariffs. It failed in the Senate. Just walk us through what happened there.
Well, what's important to note is typically the use of tariffs is a power that belongs to Congress, and they were trying to claw that back. The president is able to do his sort of executive tariffs because he declared a national emergency on this, and members of Congress, including a few Republicans in the Senate, wanted to try to establish through a resolution that this is the purview of Congress. They say it was important to have the discussion, to bring up the issue, to remind Americans that the power to levy tariffs does belong belong to Congress. We had a couple of notables who we often see willing to break with the president. That would be Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Rand Paul of Kentucky. And they argue that this is important because this is a co-equal branch of government that should be able to have this sort of an impact on the economy about when and when not to impose tariffs. The president's national emergency is still in effect, and the Congress, in terms of the Senate, working on this, wanted to pull that back. But it appears now that there's a lot of support for the president having this authority, and so they've sort of blocked the ability to claw it back. But it was notable, especially with a few Republicans getting on board, and as a reminder that typically it's a power of Congress and not the president.
Caleb, how could this decline in the economy impact all of us, just everyday Americans, our wallets?
Yeah, right now, this is a scorecard and the headline numbers, the first estimate of GDP. But if we get another quarter of this, or you feel like the economy's slowing, or you hear over and over from companies that businesses and consumers are spending less, that just kind of triggers the psychological recession. So we spend less, right? We keep our hands in our pockets. Businesses spend less. They don't expand. They don't hire. They don't give raises. That's how you could feel it over time. But a couple things to keep in mind. Tomorrow, very big jobs report for the month of April. We'll see if the unemployment rate rises. It's 4.2% right now, still pretty low. We also have the Fed meeting in 6 days, 7 hours and 50 minutes next week. They could, if they see a rise in unemployment, slowing economy, lower interest rates, that could be significant.
All right,
Sweet.
Caleb and Kelly, appreciate it. Thank you both.
Well, despite President Trump's insistence that the current economic impact of tariffs is a, quote, transition period, many supply chain experts say the worst is yet to come. A new report shows that exports from China have fallen to their lowest level in years due to the president's trade war. Well, one analysis says that as a result, U.S. consumers could spend up to $4,000 more per year for the same products. NBC's Steve Patterson explains.
The front line of President Trump's trade war with China and the 145% tariffs he put on that country is right here at our nation's busiest twin ports, Long Beach and Los Angeles.
Ports here in Southern California account for 30% of the nation's exports, 40% of the nation's imports, and about half of the business runs through China. If these tariffs stay in place, experts say it will definitely have an impact on consumers.
The worst case scenario is less choice on store shelves and online buying. Prices spike, and families are really becoming tighter with their budgets.
Gene Soroka is the Port of L.A. executive director.
We only have 7 ships in port. Normally, on a Wednesday, you'd see 12 to 14 vessels.
He says incoming cargo, everything from clothing, electronics to household goods, will plummet starting next week.
What we're seeing now is that cargo coming in from Asia will be down by about 35% until we get some semblance or signals that trade deals are on the way.
Down here at the docks, to get a true sense of the scale of the operation, one of these ships can hold up to 10,000 of those containers with goods that wind up on store shelves all across the country.
The National Retail Federation says people will soon feel the effects right in the wallet.
How much will this impact the regular consumer?
Retailers can't absorb the entirety of 145% tariff. Talk about anywhere price increases between $2,000 to $4,000 or more for the year.
And businesses by the docks are feeling the squeeze now.
It makes me sad that we have people in power that have no clue on what's going on.
Yolanda Regalado runs the popular coffee shop Sirens. Dock workers are her best customers. Their union warning the trade war could lead to devastating job losses.
Our coffee just went up $1 a pound. That's a lot. Do we add $5 for a cup of coffee? I don't want to do that because the majority of people that come in here just want a decent cup of coffee, and we don't want to gouge them.
Pain being felt at the ports from a trade war nobody here wanted. Steve Patterson, NBC News, San Pedro, California.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris delivered her first major speech since President Trump took office. She slammed the agenda of her 2024 opponent and warned that America is at risk of a constitutional crisis. Harris spoke on what was the 101st day of the Trump administration. She called the president's tariffs reckless for raising costs on consumers and for paralyzing American businesses. She also warned about the consequences if America's system of checks and balances on executive power were to fail.
If Congress fails to do its part, or if the courts fail to do their part, or if both do their part, but the president defies them anyway, Well, friends, that is called a constitutional crisis. And that is a crisis that will eventually impact everyone. Because it would mean that the rules that protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, that ensure each of us has a say about how our government works, will no longer matter.
Harris is expected to decide by the end of this summer whether she will run for governor of California next year. If she ran and won, that would likely take a 2028 presidential run off the table.
Well, after months of tense negotiations, the United States and Ukraine have signed a minerals deal that will help fund the eventual rebuilding of the war-torn country. The long-awaited deal will give Washington access to some of Ukraine's mineral and energy reserves and create an investment fund that both sides will jointly manage.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent signed the deal yesterday alongside Ukraine's deputy minister. He said the deal shows both sides' commitment to lasting peace and prosperity in Ukraine.
NBC News reporter Matt Bodner joins us with more on this. Matt, good morning. So can you just start by telling us what details we have at this point on this deal?
Essentially, Savannah, we have a deal that looks much more like the one first floated by Zelensky earlier this year and less like the, frankly, colonial arrangement that Trump has been pushing for since then. The main points of the deal are as follows, that it would be the creation of a 50-50 U.S.-Ukrainian joint fund to pursue brand new mineral extraction projects. All existing projects will remain under Ukrainian control. Ukraine will maintain full control over its land and its resources. And Ukraine says that for the next decade, all profits from these new projects will go directly into Ukrainian reconstruction efforts. The United States also has an option, according, again, to the Ukrainians, to contribute to the fund in the form of future military aid, particularly air defense systems. There is, however, one thing that Ukraine still has not secured. That would be their essentially main request at this point, and that is hard, clear security guarantees from the United States vis-a-vis Russia.
So, Matt, it goes without saying this demonstrates a marked shift in relations between the two countries. It was just 2 months ago Zelensky left the White House without signing a minerals deal after that contentious meeting with Mr. Trump and Vice President Vance in the Oval Office. What has changed that has led to getting this long-awaited deal signed?
Well, there have been a number of interesting developments, Joe. For starters, Trump appears to at least be warming up to the idea that Putin might be playing him. The various Russian attacks, missile attacks on civilians in recent weeks, particularly that massive attack on Kyiv a week or so ago, have prompted some of the most direct criticisms Trump has ever made of Vladimir Putin. And then, of course, there was that dramatic meeting between Trump and Zelensky in the Vatican last weekend at the Pope's funeral. Trump actually called that a moment of solace between the two of them in an interview with ABC following that meeting. And he also, again, reiterated to ABC that he thinks it's possible Putin is stringing him along. That all said, Trump has made it very clear to everyone involved that he really just wants a deal. So it could, in the end, have been that Zelensky's patience was greater.
Matt, this comes as we're learning some horrifying news about a Ukrainian journalist who died in Russian captivity. What can you tell us?
That's right, Savannah. The journalist's name was Victoria Roshina, and she was 27 years old. Back in 2023, she went into Russian-occupied territory to report on detentions and torture in Zaporizhia, and she went missing while on that assignment. Russia finally admitted in April 2024 that they had captured her, and in September of last year, they sent a letter to her family saying that she had died. There was a lot of mystery around this, but her body was returned to Ukraine in February, and examiners say that there's evidence of physical as well as electric shock torture, and even signs that organs were removed from her body, probably to try to hide this from Ukrainian war crimes prosecutors who are dealing with this now. Various Russian ministries did not reply to a request from NBC News to comment, and she was the first Ukrainian journalist known to have died in Russian captivity, not the last.
Matt, we don't hear a lot about what life is like for Ukrainians inside Russian-occupied territory in Ukraine. Does what happened to this journalist illustrate what they're living with?
It very much does, Joe. And just the other day, I spoke with a Ukrainian activist, Anna Bondarenko, who does a lot of work with volunteers behind the lines in the occupied regions. Take a listen to what she said about life behind the occupation line.
So when you're talking about the occupied territories, because the informational space, the social media, the people you walk on the streets and talk to, this is not very safe. People have to be very conscious about everything they say, they do, they even think. They're using torture, kidnapping, manipulation.
The Russian government, for its part, has routinely denied these types of allegations. We've been hearing about it since the start of the war, but we continue to hear more stories like this. Back to you guys.
All right, Matt Bodnar, thank you very much.
A Columbia University student at the center of a high-profile immigration case is free on bail this morning. A federal judge ordered the release of Palestinian student activist Mohsen Madawi from immigration custody weeks after he was detained by the Trump administration. NBC's Stephanie Gosk has the details.
Palestinian Mohsen Madawi is released on bail and sounding victorious.
For anybody who's doubting justice, this is a light of hope, a hope and faith in the justice system in America.
The Columbia University student, who is a legal permanent resident in the U.S., was detained during an immigration interview in Vermont earlier this month, handcuffed and removed by federal agents. Last year, Madawi helped lead pro-Palestinian protests on campus. In a statement, the DHS says a green card is a privilege. When you advocate for violence, glorify and support terrorists that relish the killing of Americans and harass Jews, it should be revoked. Madawi denies he has ever advocated for violence.
They arrested me. What's the reason? Because I raised my voice?
The federal judge ordered Madawi released on bail while he challenges his detention. His legal team arguing that the government is trying to silence his opposition to the war in Gaza.
This is not the first time we've seen the government go after basic First Amendment rights.
In his ruling, the judge said Madawi appears not to be either a flight risk or a danger to the community, adding that continuing to detain him would likely have a chilling effect on protected speech. DHS responding, the Trump administration is committed to restoring the rule of law to our immigration system. No judge, not this one or any other, is going to stop us from doing that. On the steps of the court, after 2 weeks in detention, Madawi with a defiant message for the administration.
To President Trump and his cabinet, yes, I am not afraid of you.
And our thanks to Stephanie Gosk for that report. Madawi's fight is not over. He's still challenging the government's decision to detain him. And that case will continue to play out in federal court in Vermont. For now, he remains free while that legal battle moves forward.
The Supreme Court is weighing a potentially landmark case that critics say could weaken the separation of church and state. The justices appeared divided during yesterday's oral arguments over whether Oklahoma can use state taxpayer money to fund the country's first religious public charter school. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has more.
Oklahoma school superintendent Ryan Walters is on a mission.
We're bringing the Bible back to school. We're bringing prayer back to school. And we're going to be the first to offer religious charter schools.
If Walters is successful, St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School would be the first of its kind, the only taxpayer-funded religious charter school in the country. Walters says it's about giving parents more choices.
It's up to a parent to decide if they send their kid to that school. If a parent doesn't want to, obviously, don't send your kids to that school.
Critics say this type of plan chips away at the separation between church and state and ultimately could change how funds are used for public education nationwide. Oklahoma's Attorney General Gentner Drummond, a Republican, sued to block the school's approval, pointing to Oklahoma law, which, like dozens of other states, requires charter schools to remain secular.
Oklahomans do not want to fund religious schools. They don't want the state to get in the business of funding one religion, because if we fund one, then we have to fund all. And it's just a slippery slope.
This debate now in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices hearing oral arguments appearing divided over the school's constitutionality. Back in Oklahoma, Erin Brewer, a mom of two teens, says the stakes of the high court's ruling go well beyond St. Isidore.
For the government to choose a particular religion, to force us as taxpayers to fund it, or to force us as students to study those tenets, that is un-American. I value my faith, and I have been really proud to impart it to my children, but I don't need the government's help.
Our thanks to Laura Jarrett for that report. Well, the Supreme Court's decision is expected by the end of June, and it could set a precedent for whether other religious organizations can run taxpayer-funded charter schools across the country.
Now to the deadly storms hitting a huge part of the country. More than 40 million people from Texas to western New York are under the threat of severe weather. Storms that are packing everything from large hail and high winds to tornadoes. In Pennsylvania, at least 4 people were killed on Wednesday. The powerful winds ripped the roofs off of buildings and toppled trees, taking out power lines. Roughly 200,000 people are without power there this morning. Officials estimate it could be a week until service is fully restored.
Meanwhile, just outside of Oklahoma City, several homes were destroyed after a lightning strike ignited this massive fire you're looking at that was spread by high winds. In nearby Seymour, Texas, blinding rainfall, pelting hail, and strong winds ripped apart this barn. For more, let's check in with NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson, who has the latest on the storm from Dallas.
Yeah, good morning. And sadly, this new round of storms has turned even more deadly. We learned late yesterday that a man in Oklahoma died after being swept away by floodwaters. Officials there say that they attempted to save him. There was a sheriff who even went into the water after him and became trapped. Thankfully, first responders were able to rescue that sheriff, but unfortunately, that driver did not survive. And so that brings the death toll from these storms this week now to 5, including the 4 that happened in Pennsylvania. And you can see some of the remnants of this storm damage here in Dallas just behind me, a lot of the overflow of that water as we saw just torrential downpours across North Texas. There were flights that were grounded and delayed at both major airports here, leaving passengers stranded. Pounding hail, and we saw a similar scene not far from here in Oklahoma where there were water rescues that took place. There were homes that began to look like islands there just from the severe flooding that they were dealing with. Now, thankfully, a lot of the flood watches there did expire this morning. We also saw severe damage in Arkansas. There was a tree that snapped onto a daycare there, and we know that there was a man in Texas who his semi-truck flipped and he actually had to climb out via the passenger side door to escape. So certainly there was a threat on the roadways for people as well from all of this severe weather. And as you noted, up in Pennsylvania, there are still hundreds of thousands of people without power there this morning. Officials saying that it could take some time to restore, although thankfully many of those tornado watches did not come to fruition. So a bit of a silver lining here as people are continuing to recover from these severe storms.
All right, Priscilla, thank you so much. Let's now bring in NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman.
Yeah, she's tracking this storm that is moving so slowly across the country all week long. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. We got more where that came from. We've got multiple systems that we're going to track well into the weekend, and unfortunately some unsettled weather and severe weather for some folks. So let's get you started with what you need to know this morning. We've got rain centered across parts of the south. This is where we've seen most of the thunderstorm activity this morning, and we've got, again, the potential for more of that to develop here as the day goes on. But no surprise, already some flood watches in effect across parts of Oklahoma. We did see some of those centered across Louisiana, Arkansas, and parts of Texas. Those have since expired, but I wouldn't be surprised with really saturated soils and more rain on the way for some of those flood alerts to come back into the picture as we get through the rest of our day. In the meantime, we've still got that same storm system moving across the country, and it means widespread storms yet again. We've got from Texas to New York basically as the bullseye for any of that stronger development to happen. Cleveland, Charleston, Nashville, Jackson, upwards to Dallas, we're going to see that slight risk. It's the hail and the damaging winds that we're mostly concerned about, but we could see a couple of tornadoes out there as the afternoon and evening hours go on. Tomorrow, not much change. We keep the same kind of weather pattern going, and we see that greatest risk centered across parts of Texas, central Texas, essentially extending west. The hail, the damaging winds, going to be the biggest threat once again, but we could see maybe a tornado or two, although that tornado risk is going to be much lower as we head into our Friday. By Saturday, much of that starting to work its way to the east. We're talking rain from the northeast to the Great Lakes down to the southeast, and we could see some of those stronger storms develop as well. But either way, it's going to be kind of an unsettled Saturday across much of the East Coast. So rain in the picture for any of those Saturday plans. In the meantime, we're going to watch for those stronger storms and the potential for some flash flooding. Here's the flash flood risk for today. You can see, again, it's the Oklahoma, Texas area is really where we've been watching repeated rounds of heavy rain, and we've got more of that on the way as we get through, not just today, but even through Saturday. You can see upwards of 1 inch to 2 inches in some of these locations, so it won't be hard for us to see some more of that flooding. And how about this weather whiplash that we've had across parts of the Great Lakes specifically? Here's where we were on Tuesday. Record highs. We're talking 15 to even 25 degrees above normal. Detroit topping out at 86 degrees. We see a cold front work through, and now we've got the 60s in the picture. That was yesterday, so we've seen some folks plunge from the 80s all the way to the 40s, places like Erie, and then we bounce back today. So it's been a kind of couple of days where you don't know if you need the jacket or not. Today we'll see temperatures into the 70s for Buffalo, Syracuse, Erie, Pittsburgh makes it to the 80s. And we keep that warmth going across parts of the Northeast at least through tomorrow. New York City hits the low 80s, Philadelphia into the mid 80s. We see Washington, D.C. close to 90 degrees. It doesn't last in that way, but it does stay fairly mild for folks across that region here as we get into your Sunday and Monday. We'll see 70s across the board all weekend long for Memphis, Oklahoma City, and Denver.
At least it's not snowing in Buffalo when the temperature
That's right.
drops.
That's right.
Yeah. We know of.
I can always count on you to look on the bright side,
See,
Joe.
there you go. They wouldn't mind. All right. Thanks, Angie.
Thank you. Got it.
Well, next week, the College of Cardinals is set to convene the conclave to elect a new pope. And while it may be a global body, U.S. Cardinals are quickly becoming among its most influential. More American Cardinals are taking on leading roles with bigger responsibilities, helping to shape a church that's grappling with modern challenges. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray sat down with two of them to talk about what they believe the church needs to do to prepare the way for the next generation of the faithful.
With the Catholic faith in a historic moment of transition, the American church will play a key role in the path forward.
American cardinals are more influential in Rome today than they ever have been.
Italy is the only country with more active cardinals than the U.S., many like Chicago Cardinal Joseph Supich.
I go to Rome every month for a meeting.
With important leadership roles at the Vatican.
The Pope has asked me on a number of occasions to take responsibility for giving a report on something or another, or ways in which I can help him.
Input from Supich and other U.S. cardinals helping to map out the future of the Catholic faith.
It is bringing areas of particular U.S. interest to the fore in Rome, but it's also issues that are pertinent throughout the entire globe.
Issues and the influence of Pope Francis centered on inclusion and diversity, pushing the American church to open its doors to groups that in the past, frankly, have not had much of a role in the Catholic faith.
We have to make sure that everyone feels welcome.
A big part of that focus, the growing immigrant population.
In general, we have been a nation which reaches out to those who are suffering, those who are immigrants, and those who are seeking new lives. And we need to recapture that, renew that, and within the Catholic community understand that that is a requirement of our faith.
Many parishioners also continue to push for a more open environment, welcoming LGBTQ participants in the Mass, along with those divorced or married to someone outside the Catholic faith.
We can't put up barriers or obstacles to people because maybe they missed the mark, they're still struggling with something in their life, but rather we're there to help them continue the journey of life in a way that makes them whole. And so that is the attitude, that is the approach that we need to take as we do ministry today.
Pope Francis has given women a much larger role in decision-making and governance in Rome, something that started to trickle down to U.S. parishes.
My own view is that women should be included in any ministry that's not doctrinally precluded, okay? And that's the vast majority of the life of the church.
A church that some still criticize as too slow to enact significant change, something American cardinals realize they must continue to address.
The church will have no future if it doesn't have a present. So people have to center on what is the present moment and the challenge that we're called to today. If we do that, we will have a future.
A future framed in part by the input of American cardinals as they help select the next leader of their faith. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.